So today we talked about finding the area of parallelograms, trapezoids, and rhombuses. So here are some parallelograms. Now the formula for the area of a parallelogram is the base times the height. Now you don't want to get that confused with this side here, like this diagonal side. That doesn't mean anything. You notice here that this is cut into a triangle on the side. Well, you can take this triangle, put it over here, and turn this into a rectangle. And then, as we know, the area of a rectangle is base times height. And so it would be 15 times 5. And this 7 means nothing. That's just extra information. So let's find the area of this parallelogram. It's going to be 5 times 15. If you multiply those together, you're going to get 75 centimeters squared. This one, it's going to be 2 meters times 4 meters, because 2 is the height and 4 is the base, and this is a diagonal, so we don't care about it. When you find the area of a quadrilateral, you don't care about the diagonals, unless it's a rhombus, and I'll show you that in a moment. 4 times 2 would be 8, and that would be meters squared. And here we have 10 times 6, base times height, would be 60 centimeters squared. And once again, we don't care about this diagonal. So now we have trapezoids. To find the area of a trapezoid, we have 1/2 times the height times the sum of the two bases, meaning the top and the bottom. Now what we did in class is we showed that if we take a trapezoid, you turn it upside down, and you put it next to the original trapezoid, you will end up with a parallelogram. I'm not good at drawing. Let me try that again. You'll end up with a parallelogram, kind of like this. And so we know that the area of a parallelogram is just base times height. So what we would do is we would find the base times of this parallelogram times the height, and then divide it in half, because that's two trapezoids. We only want the area of one of them. Now the base is going to be, it's going to be this, the bottom plus the top, because you turned it upside down and you put the top next to the bottom. So that's the whole base there. You add these together, you multiply it by the height, and then you cut it in half. Okay. What I like to do, if possible, if I know the height is an even number, I like to just divide the height in half and then multiply that by the sum of the bases. So the sum of the bases, 14 plus 9, would be 23 centimeters. So that's base 1 plus base 2, and half of my height is 12 centimeters, half of that is 6. So I multiply that together and I get 138 centimeters squared for this one. Now, do I care about this diagonal here? No, I do not. That's extra information. So I could also just add, say it's 23 times 12, and then divide that in half, but that's a lot more work than just dividing the height in half. You'll get the same answer either way. So this one, there's a lot of numbers here, but I just want to look at the two bases here. 12 plus 18 would be 30 millimeters. And then the height is 11 millimeters. And I'm just going to not cut that one in half because it's odd. So I'll do it the long way. 30 times 11 is 330. And I'm going to cut that in half. 330 divided by 2 is going to be I'm doing this with my mouse trackpad, so it's a little hard to write. 165. So I get 165 millimeters squared. Remember, it's squared because it's area. It's millimeters times millimeters, so that's millimeters squared. Now we don't care about this diagonal. We don't care about this diagonal. These were added there just as extra information to see if you know what you're talking about. Now here we have base 1 and base 2 is 8 and 13. So I have 21, I think, 21? Yeah, 21. And then times 1/2 of the height. So I'm going to take my height here and divide it in half, and I get 3. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6. There's no units, so it's just 63 units of unknown origin squared. Now, remember, we don't care about these diagonals here. Okay, so now we're going to find the area of a rhombus. A rhombus is a quadrilateral where all the sides are the same length. A square is a type of rhombus, but if it doesn't have right angles, it tends to look like this. So Cedric is constructing a kite in the shape of a rhombus like this. The spars on the kite, these are the sticks here, measure 15 inches by 24 inches. How much fabric will he need for the kite? Now here's how you find the area of a rhombus. You take the two diagonals, multiply them together, and then divide that in half. Now the reason for that is if you were going to cut this into 4 pieces, you could reconstruct it into a rectangle, and you'd find that the base of that rectangle is one of these diagonals, and the height is just 1/2 of one of the diagonals. So basically I'm taking this, putting it up here, or no, I'm putting it up here. I'm taking this piece, I'm putting it up here, makes a rectangle. This is the base, and this is the height. So it's 1/2 of one of the diagonals times the other diagonal. So 1/2 of this diagonal. I'm going to take the even one so I can divide it in half easily. So 24 divided in half is 12. And then I multiply it by the other diagonal, which is 15. I could do 15 times 24 and divide that in half, but this is a little bit quicker. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Scritch, scratch, lay an egg. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. I add these together, and I get 180 inches squared. Okay, so just to review, I'm going to do a parallelogram, trapezoid, and a rhombus. Now, the area of a parallelogram, base times height, 13 times 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So this is 117 inches squared. Finding the area of a trapezoid, the area is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. So I know that my height is 14, so 1/2 of the height is 7. And my sum of my bases is 9 plus 15, that's 24. And so I multiply 24 times 7, and I get 168 centimeters squared. Now I have a rhombus. One of the diagonals is 18, the other one is 11, and the area of a rhombus is 1/2 of one of the diagonals times the other diagonal. So I'm going to take half of 18 because that's even, and I multiply that by 11. So 11 times 9, remember 18 divided by 2 is 9, and I get 99 inches squared.